Hello, this is Horror Studio One, and this is my unedited podcast. Hello, this is your host, Horror Studio One, coming to you once again with the podcast. So it has been a while since I've done one of these guys. Man, it's been so long. I think the last one I did, I was talking about going to the deep web. So that was quite a while ago, and that was on my trip in Taiwan. While I was still traveling around, going from place to place, hotel to hotel, hostel to hostel, didn't know where to live and stuff like that, which is actually the setting for our story of today. So if you guys have seen the title, you guys are like, whoa, what is going on? Is this clickbait? Is this real? Is this not? This is not clickbait. This actually happened. For those individuals who are keeping up on the regular with me, with my other channels, social media, etc., you guys would have seen in my vlog channel me talking about this in one of my recent videos called I Almost Died. So basically what the story is, I have to go way back. It's gonna be a long time today, a long story, a longer video for a podcast than usual. I have quite a bit of stuff to talk about for this whole story. I want to get it all out there. I want this to be the concise version, the real full version of what happened in these events, as opposed to just talking about it for 10 minutes and then making a video and then blah, 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 you know, helping you guys kill time. I want to help you guys kill time, but I want to help you guys kill time in a more productive way, and which you will learn something. That's actually the direction I want to have these podcasts go into. So basically, I've been doing these podcasts for a very long time, for a couple years now, on and off. There was one point in my life where I thought about doing podcasts for this channel, and that was it. And I think I did like 20 podcasts or 30 podcasts in a row. Granted, they weren't the most viewed videos that I had, and I decided I had to, you know, make my bread and butter of this channel, which got this channel really popping and started, which is the true scary stories, true ghost stories, that kind of stuff. So, but podcasts I would just talk about in the past would just be things I wanted to talk about, things I found creepy, blah blah, that are kind of related to paranormal, danger, that kind of topic, right? We don't talk about flowers and sunshine here, even though I try to have a comedic tone when I do these. We don't have that here. But now I think the podcast, the direction I wanted to go to would be a more, like, I wanted to teach you guys something, and that is the first video of teaching you guys something with the podcast is this podcast, which I'm about to share with you, and this story, which really affected me deeply. So for those of you guys who don't know, this is the story of how I almost died. Basically, way back a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I decided I wanted to go. Actually, no, let's go very back, beginning of 2018. I realized I wanted to go travel, and the reason for that was because at the time I was really into Instagram and Instagram photos, and I liked posting a photo a day on Instagram just to get traction, just to like see how it does. And a lot of my friends were liking my photos, blah blah blah. So I was doing that for a while, but I realized because I live in Canada, there wasn't a lot of places in which I could take photos at. So I basically used up every place I could in terms of scenery and good views and stuff like that. And I realized maybe I want to go to a place that's more exotic. You know, maybe I just want to go traveling. It was kind of an excuse for me to go traveling because I was in a place for a long time. I was kind of in a rut. I wanted to move back to Asia to start my career, do something in entertainment maybe, like that kind of stuff. I had a lot of ideas going on, popping up in my head. And I realized that before I would settle down in Asia, in Hong Kong, where I'm living currently right now, for the long term, I wanted to actually maybe go travel a bit before that. So I actually, at that time, I had an offer from a company in Hong Kong to help them host a show here, an internet show. And it was sometime in February because they saw one of my Facebook videos and they really liked it. And they're like, hey, we're looking for someone to host. Would you be open to come back and have this opportunity, have this job, maybe sign a contract with us, blah, blah, blah. And back then, I was kind of like hesitant to do so because I felt like I didn't want to settle down for the long term, and I was already doing my own thing. And that want to travel was still, like, the impulse of it was so strong. Like, I still wanted to travel a bit more before settling down and take some photos and, you know, do that whole thing. So what I eventually did was I didn't turn them down, but I sort of just postponed the offer. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll be coming back maybe in the next few months, maybe in May or something like that, just a little bit further down the road would the opportunity still be available. And they're like, sure, right, blah, blah. So at the time, I was like, yeah, let's go travel. I always wanted to travel to Taiwan, And during that time, actually, I was with my girlfriend as well, and she was like, yeah, let's go travel or whatever to Taiwan, and then blah blah. And I was really happy. That was like the whole thing. But eventually, when May comes, I had to postpone the date of the travel and postpone because I wanted to be in a part of a competition that I was doing with my friends in Canada. So I stayed in Canada for a little bit longer than I should have, which eventually led to the opportunities that I had in Hong Kong disappearing and not being there anymore. So I guess that's a lesson for all you guys. If there is an opportunity and you want it, the best thing is to take it. But I guess I made a choice when I entered a competition with my friends that the opportunity was not going to be there anymore. And even though that competition didn't turn out the best, I guess you kind of learn something in life, I guess. So whatever. So I went on my trip to Taiwan, and then I'll be honest, during that time in May, I didn't really want to go. Like it was an impulse thing that I really wanted to go in the beginning of the year, but then during the middle of the year, once a lot of shit happened, like the relationship with my girlfriend was like no longer there. I think I just had to sort of break it off, if you will. So a lot of stuff was happening emotionally. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to kind of like stay in Canada, but then I had already bought the ticket. My mom had already settled the ticket for me, so I was just in that place. I was like, okay, well, there's nothing else I could do except to go for it. And then once arriving in Taiwan, it was the feeling wasn't of excitement, but more of survival a little bit, because I'd be living in hotels and then I would be trying to find cheaper ones. I would want to force myself to travel, but a lot of the times all I wanted to do was just like stay in one place, you know, and just kind of like, I don't know, was I sad? I wasn't sad. I think I was more neutral than anything. Definitely not excited to be there because I was backpacking solo. So eventually I was going from place to place, essentially forcing myself to go from city to city. If you guys don't know Taiwan, it's basically separated in three places: the north, the middle, and the south. So I was spending a lot of time in the north part, and then I would force myself to go to the south part, and then, you know, just travel around as much as I could, and also jump from hotel to hotel, because the ones for the price, and also for like different locations, you get to see more different stuff from the culture. I'm sorry this is going for so long. It's like 10 minutes. I haven't got to the point yet. So I was doing that, and I eventually landed in a hostel because I was already spending a lot of money living in good hotels, because one thing for me with traveling is that I would like to live in better hotels. I think that's an important thing for me, you know, anyways. So it's just preference. Some people like to eat more, buy more stuff. I like to live in like a good hotel to relax a bit. So basically what happened was I used all my money, and I was, you know what, let's just live in a hostel for like 1-2 days. And it's like a hostel, it's like an international hostel, so you can sort of meet some other travelers as well. And it was a bunk bed environment. It wasn't really the best. I didn't really click with those people that lived there. It was like these older white guys and then some like young Asian girls and stuff, and I just, they weren't my type of people, not my crowd. So, but I, you know, was polite with them, and I only lived there for like 2 days, so it wasn't a big deal. We all had to share bunk beds in a room, and one thing that we did there was basically they had these cups that you could get tea and water from, but the cups were used by everybody. So what happened was, you know, I was working on my deep web videos or something for my vlog channel there, and then I was drinking constant cups of tea, of green tea. And eventually, I think what happened was the next morning I woke up, my throat started hurting so much. Like I could talk, but when I swallowed, it hurt like a bitch. And I knew I was coming with a fever. So I don't know for sure, and I can't prove it, but I just had an instinct the moment I woke up was that the reason I'm having this right now is because I drank a cup that had someone with like, is it tonsillitis or something? Let's Google that. Yeah, the throat infection, you know, inflammation of the tonsils, and somebody was fucking infected with that, and they didn't wash it properly, because you're in a hostel, you don't wash that shit, you just like rinse it through water, and I drank it, and now I'm infected with that disease. And eventually I moved from that place to another hotel, but I was already really sick, sick to the point where I would just be sleeping all day. My throat was hurting. And I felt like the more I slept, the worse it got. Like, I feel like it was kind of like okay. Like, I think that if I had just like toughed through it, you know, just went on with my day and my life, I think it would have been okay. But I think with everything that was combined, like, it spiraled into this moment of darkness where I basically spent the whole day in my hotel room just sleeping. I would sleep from like morning till night. I never do that. And I would just sleep in my room. I wouldn't go out. I would just go out to eat something, and then I would come back and sleep again for the whole night. Like, I would sleep like 20 hours a day. And I did that for like 2-3 days, and I kept extending my hotel because by that point I was living in a pretty nice hotel. It was a private room. What I would do, I was basically shut the windows, shut all the lights. I would fucking shut even the air conditioning because the air conditioning was making me cold. So I would shut that, so I would just be like in this empty room, no air ventilation whatsoever, darkness, just sleeping for 20 hours. And I think that made it worse because I feel like it made the bacteria grow. Because the more I slept in there, the worse it got. Like, I started having like other symptoms as well. Like, my ear would hurt, my neck would hurt, my throat, before I would still be able to like talk. I stopped being able to talk. I just had all this mucus in there, and I wasn't able to like swallow either. Like, I felt my whole throat start to like just enlarge. And I was like, holy fuck, this is like the worst. Like, this is bad. Like, I've never been this sick while traveling, especially alone. I've never been this sick, period. So what happened was I knew I was going to like I was afraid, like, fuck, if I die here in this hotel room, no one would even know. Like, I don't know anybody in this hotel. You know, I turn on the I put it on the do not disturb sign. No one's gonna come in and change my sheets or nothing. I'm just stuck here, and I'm like, you know, mucus is coming out of my mouth, and I'm like just spitting it everywhere. It's like a completely disgusting situation. So I knew I had to go get some help. So in that moment, I decided to stop. I knew that if I slept any more in that hotel room, I would sleep till I probably fucking died or something. So what I did was I went to the emergency room. Well, I didn't choose to go. I Googled like what hospitals or clinics were nearby where I can get medication. That's all I really needed. Like, all I needed was like some kind of medication to like calm down my infection, my viral infection, calm down my fever, because I felt like I was having that too, because I just couldn't even stand almost. So I asked the people at like the hotel front desk, and then they were not that helpful. They had no idea what the hell. Like, not a lot of people come in there like just fucking sick, right? There are most people that come into a hotel, and it was a tourist area, so a lot of people just come in, they just are basically like just having fun, and then they're just living there for a day or two. They dip, they go out and they eat shit, they play, they come back home, they sleep. No one like lives there, stays there like I did, the amount of hours I stayed in that hotel. So I went and I asked, I was like, hey, is there any hospitals nearby? And I think it was like a weekend too. It was like a Saturday or a Sunday, so a lot of them were closed, and there was only one open. Like, yeah, you gotta go to like the fucking public hospital. That's the only one they knew. No one would even check for me at that fucking hotel. What like if there was like a clinic nearby. I was like, all I needed was really just some medication, but they told me to go to a hospital, so I went. But then by that time it was already like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, so the hospital was obviously closed. Like, if the walk-in clinic was closed, I had to go to the emergency room, and I had to stay in that emergency room for like hours and hours. And what they did was they hooked me up to like an IV bag. They gave me all these meds. They gave me like 20 medications. So I've talked about this on the channel before, because I've probably seen me like show you guys. I was like there was a time period where I made a couple of videos where it's like I said my voice was really messed up. That was the time period where this was happening. So I grabbed all those meds, and then it was like 20 meds, and I stayed in that emergency room for the whole day. I went home, and for some reason my eye started like messing up. I couldn't see from one of my eyes. So basically by that time, because they did like a heavy, I'll always remember that shot. It was like some kind of like shot they did on my arm, but it hurt so much. And basically it was to kill the bacteria in my throat and was to kill my fever at the same time. But that shot fucking killed. It was like someone stabbed it with a knife. That's how much it hurt. I've never had a shot hurt so much. I was like, ah, like I was like physically like, ah. But it was a really good shot. Like one shot and I was like, my throat stopped hurting. My throat was the biggest thing that was like basically bothering me this whole time because it hurt so fucking much. I couldn't eat anything. When I ate medication, it just got stuck in my throat. That's how inflamed my throat was. But after I went back, my eye, I couldn't see out of my eye for some reason. Basically what had happened is one of the meds I was allergic to. Because they gave me so many meds. They gave me like 20 meds. Really, 20, like not 10. Like they eight different types of medication. I had to eat at least twice a day. Or 3 times a day. So I was always like taking pills like no fucking tomorrow. And I looked like shit at that time. Like there was dark circles under my eyes. I was skinny. My face was bloated. Like I looked like shit. Man, I'm just ranting right now. But I just remember that experience of my life. And then I got an eye infection. I mean, no, my eyes started like one of my eyes, I just couldn't see because there was so much pus. And it was so disgusting because when I tried to take out my contact lens and I pushed on my eye with my fingers, my contact lens, usually I would do that to get my contact lens out, but when I did that, out came like all this pus with my it was so disgusting. Like, it was like the most disgusting thing ever. And I didn't even know the first time. I thought, I was like, oh man, my eyes must be dirty or something. The second time I took the same medication, I had to like basically take a cab back to the emergency room. Once I got, like I was there in the morning, I had to go back at night to basically go again because like I was like, holy shit, like this, I don't want to be blind from this, because my eye was all red. My eyes are all red and all this pus coming out, like just drooling, like crying pus. And then they had to give me more medication to help calm that down. That's basically the whole thing. I just spent a lot of freaking money. I was gonna be honest with you. That's the thing. But the thing, I bought insurance, so always buy insurance when you go traveling. That's what I learned from this. But no, I learned a lot from that experience. Eventually, I made it alive. It was, I'm saying it like it was like a 3-week thing. It really was only basically like a very short time. How long was the whole thing? Just very short. It was like 3 days. But I learned a lot from that experience. I learned a lot about taking care of myself. I learned a lot about not being so entitled to many things, because back in Canada, you know, you just feel really great about yourself. Your family's there, your friends are there, but I was all alone. And I was sick all alone. Like, I could have died at any moment. I could have, like, there was moments in my life where I took some of those pills and I felt like it didn't go down my throat. I was like, fuck, if one of these pills gets stuck in my, you know, my breathing, like my larynx or something, like my esophagus, I don't know what the hell, like, used to breathe, one of those, and it's the middle of the night and it just gets stuck there, and you know, pills don't dissolve right away, like, I could die. Like, I could literally die and no one would know. And I was like, damn, like, I really got to learn to take care of myself. And I really did take care of myself from that experience. I swear to God, that is one of the most scariest experiences of my life. I really thought I was going to die on multiple occasions, or at least be totally messed up. But of course I made it alive. And I think that's one of the biggest things I learned from my trip to Taiwan, because if you go alone on trips, I mean, I did meet up with my friends later on, so I have those memories, but a lot of the earlier memories I have were just me going around eating by myself, and it's not really exciting when you do that, but like, these kinds of experiences are unique, I feel. And I'm looking back on it now, honestly, I'm grateful for what happened. Like, yeah, in the time it sucked like shit. Even if you think about it, it's like a bad experience, but really, in the grand scheme of things, it's a fucking good experience. Sorry, I just knocked the bowl over. No, but I'm like, my hands are moving right now, like, I'm so enthusiastic. I feel like it was a good experience for me to have in that situation, because it made me learn. Like, it prepared me for what I'm doing right now, which is to live on my own for the long term, for the rest of my life, have to take care of not only myself, but maybe even like have a family after, and take care of kids. That prepared me for this. That, like, I'm glad that happened, especially in a foreign place. Like, once you get to that level, and then like now I'm living, you know, by myself, I'm healthy, you know, I got some family and friends here. Like, now it's just easy shit. Like, everything doesn't seem that bad, right? If I was just doing this now, I'd be like, oh my god, you know, I went from my good place, my hometown, where everything was just pitch perfect. Like, I was like this flower that was taken care of, and now I'm like, you know, this rugged piece of rock. No, like, I went to the extreme. I became shit first, and now I'm a rock. So it's so much easier, you know what I mean? So the second experience I want to talk about that almost died. I know this is becoming really long. It's like already 20 minutes, but I gotta get it off my chest. Was the experience I filmed in my vlog video where I went to a place called Sun Moon Lake. So where Sun Moon Lake is, it's basically in like the center of Taiwan, and it's actually the center of Taiwan. And I went there. It's an awesome place. People say that at nighttime you can see both the sun and the moon at the same time. It's amazing, you know. There, you know, it's a tourist location. The tour guide guy was like, hey, you know, since you're a young dude, you want to like try biking around the whole lake. And I was like, damn, like why the hell not, right? So of course I was alone again, which is great actually. Like I actually like traveling alone has different experience, trust me. And you feel cool too. You feel like a fucking you feel like Han Solo, you know what I mean? So alright, so I was traveling alone, and then I rented a bike, and it was not just like a normal bike, it was like an electric bike where you can just twist the handle and then you don't have to basically ride it. It just goes along. It's kind of like a shittier version of a moped kind of thing, right? But of course you can also pedal if you want to, like a normal bike. It's just a bike with basically batteries inside of it, like like those toy bikes that kids have or something like that. So I had one of those, and my plan was to make a video filming myself and a couple of Instagram stories and Instagram, new Instagram TV, IGTV stuff, going around the entirety of it, which was around 30 kilometers, around 34 kilometers in the total. So basically, from my hotel, I had to get to the other side, which was the harbor, and I would come back through the forest, which is going back to my hotel. So I was like, damn, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's film it. Let's have a time limit that I want to get to it by, like maybe like a couple hours or something. It shouldn't really even take that long. Like honestly, it probably take like 2 hours or 4 hours. At like 3 hours, no, fuck it, 3 hours the max, man. So I did it. And I went from point A, which is my hotel, all the way to point B, which is the other side, which is already the harbor. And at one point while coming back, I was supposed to take a left. And that was before a tunnel. And everyone was telling me about, yo, take a left at the tunnel. But my brain at the time, because I was so preoccupied with driving, it was kind of raining outside, like driving the bike, raining outside, there was cars passing by, filming as well, like a lot of things were going through my mind, like, oh, this is the perfect Instagram, IGTV thing, this will be a good Instagram story, this is going to be for my YouTube channel, like, that's how my brain works as a creator, right, as someone who makes a lot of these, you know that, right, I do like everyday videos, like that's how my brain freaking works a lot of times. So I'm thinking about that, not really paying attention to like my own safety. I'm like, even in my mind, I'm thinking like, if something, like, that's how I think, like, I like, go like on a tangent, like people blame Logan Paul for a lot of shit that he's done, but I realize that when you are filming a video, sometimes your brain that's all you think about, like your own personal safety, even the safety of like safety concerns in general. You don't think about it, and you kind of even think that if something bad were to happen, not bad as in like what happened with him, but like, you know what I mean, like not like dead body bad, but I mean like if something crazy, just a little conflict were to happen, it would make this video a whole lot more exciting, wouldn't it? And it would give it a title. Like that's how you think. And while I was at that lake doing this thing, I was even thinking like, yeah, what if I get lost? What if I get lost? What if something bad happens or something to me? It would make the video so much more exciting. Clickbait. Like really, you really do think that. And of course, what I thought, I guess law of attraction, is what would happen. Basically, I started going downhill, and it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I was like, damn, I just keep going downhill. I'm like, shouldn't I be back by now? Is this side of the mountain really that much, like that worse? What happened is I eventually went down to a part where I hit the end of the road, and I just started seeing farmland everywhere. I was basically in like, from the tourist area, I basically went straight through the tunnel and into like rural towns, and by the time I realized what was happening, it was already night. It was getting dark on the way, and darker and darker, but by the time I hit like the bottom, I was at the bottom, like this thing was on a hill, I was at the bottom of the other side of the hill, and that road that I was on this whole time ended. It was the end of the road. It was just some small factory town with like no one around, because in those like little Taiwanese Asian towns, like there's nothing. People were in their houses watching TV and shit. There's not a single store open, no 7-Eleven you can go to. no buses. Everyone just either biked or drove. So I was at that place and I was like, shit. Like, that's when I realized, like, holy fuck, I'm lost. And it was raining up a storm. And it was getting dark. I didn't know what to do. I just went back. I was freaking the fuck out. And my bike was losing battery. So I was starting to pedal. And everything around me before, there was cars whizzing by, other travelers, other tourists. But by that time, it was already 7 p.m. at night. Everything was dark. There were no more, like, there was like maybe one moped every now and then coming from the other direction. But now I was just biking up a hill. I was biking up a hill. I was looking left and right. It was all forest. Dark forest. There was no streetlights because we were in the mountains in like rural Taiwan. Like, Taiwan is already like not, is a pretty poor place. Like, comparatively, if you compare like Canada or something. And talking about rural. That's where, like, let's not meet stories happen. I was freaking out. I was like, because I read so many of these, I was like, shit, is someone going to come in and murder me or something? And I was just biking up there. I was freaking the fuck out. The more darker it got, the less bad, the more rainy it got. It kept on raining. Thank God I had a raincoat on. I was wearing a raincoat, riding on a bicycle. Like, fucking, this was like Pokemon. You know, this was like one of those moments. Like, good thing there was no, like, thunderstorms or something, but it was raining like a bitch, like, just a shower of rain. And I was going up, and then I went to the store eventually, because I didn't just go through one town. I went through, like, multiple townships. So basically how this worked was that the place I was on, the hotel was on the top of the mountain, and I basically went down, and as you go down, there's, like, different towns that you pass by. I eventually ended up at this town, and there was, like, a store open. There was, like, one of the only people I found that would want to help me or something. So I went to this guy. This guy was, like, just sitting there. He, like, owned the store. It was some, like, convenience store little thing. And when I say convenience store, it's not what you think, like, oh, bright lights and shit. No, it was just, like, a fucking... It was, like, Asian convenience. Like, you don't even know what I'm talking about. It was sketchy, okay? So I went in there and I asked him, I was like, hey, dude, you know, like, I'm lost. I'm a tourist. I'm not from here. Like, obviously, if I'm just looking at the way I talk and stuff. And then I'm like, dude, I'm totally lost. Is there a way for me to get back? And then I told him, you know, like, the gist of my address or whatever. And he's like, holy shit, it's like 10 kilometers from here. So, like, I did an extra, like, 10 kilometers way off trail, essentially. So he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to, like, it's gonna take you, like, at least another hour and a half to get back on your bike. And I was like, fuck. And then that's when I realized that my bike had died. There was no more batteries. They didn't expect for it to, like, you could go on that long, because I was pedaling the whole, like, I've been pedaling for like 6 hours straight from when I first started to now, just being lost and frantically going around. I was like frantically going around up and down trying to find like how to get back home. And I was willing to take a cab. Like, I was willing to just abandon that bike. I would pay for it, whatever, but there was no cars around, man. Not a single fucking car, because in those areas, like, no one would come by anyways at that time of night, especially. So I was fucking done. I knew I would have to ride that bike back to my hotel 10 kilometers, and I was down to do that. I was like, okay, fuck. I'm in this situation. There's no one that can help me. You know, this old guy is not gonna help me. You know, I mean, but I wouldn't even trust him if he did. Like, it's some old Asian man. Like, he could be a serial killer. Who knows? And I just was gonna pedal back. And when I got onto pedal on the bike, it got stuck. I realized that I think it just got stuck. It wouldn't let me pedal. I think what it is that once the battery dies, it just, like, doesn't let you pedal. I don't know why. Like, so I would pedal for a bit, like, dun, 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 and then it would get stuck. So I could only pedal like two times before it would get stuck. So my best bet was to walk with the bike back. So I started walking with my bike into the woods in the darkness, raining, nothing. And I was like, I'm so motherfucked. And I was like hoping along the way. I don't even know why I was carrying the bike still. I should have just dipped the bike and just went on my own. But I think a part of me wished that eventually the bike would start working again, and then I would be able to ride it for the 10 kilometers I had to get back. Or else if I dropped the bike there and then there was, like, I would have to walk 10 kilometers, and that is really hard. To walk 10 kilometers, even to run it is hard. To walk it in the middle of the night, it was getting like 8 or 9 p.m. at night by that time. To walk the 10 kilometers was going to be so hard. So in my mind, I was hoping that there was a chance that maybe the bike would start working again. Although, you know, the chance of that, like, why would it suddenly start working when it's not working now, right? So I was just fixing the bike as I was pushing it, fixing it, like, trying to be like, fuck, come on, please, like, what's wrong with it? Maybe it's got the chains got stuck. I don't even know what the hell was going on. And at that moment, I saw behind me there was a passing guy in a moped. And of course, the other people who have passed me have not asked how I was or whatever. Like, I wouldn't. Like, think about it. Like, I'm Canadian. I'm nice, but in the middle of the night in the woods, like, I'm a tall guy. I'm a tall dude in a raincoat. You can't even see my face. Like, I could be anybody. I could be a serial rapist, dude. But that kid, he stopped. He's like, "Hey, man, do you need help?" And I'm like, "Yeah, please." And already I'm like sucking dick, right? I'm like, "Oh yes, please." Like, somebody finally came to me. And then I'm like, "Yeah, dude, please, like, I'm a tourist." I explain my whole life story to him. I'm like stuck here. I don't know what to do, blah, blah. And then he's like, okay, dude, don't worry about it. And for a moment, I was kind of sketched out. I was like, dude, like, what does this guy want? Like, is he gonna murder me? Like, why would he just stop randomly? Like, is he like one of those people that catches people, like, that are lost and then, like, eventually kills them because they're tourists and stuff? Like, I thought about that whole thing. But eventually, he's like, "Yeah, okay, he helped me call, there's a number," and he helped me call, like, where I rented the bike and took my bike actually to a police station to put it there overnight so that people can come get it. And then he drove me home on his fucking thing, like, on his moped. I went to the back and we just went through the mountains. We did like a complete 30 kilometers of the whole thing. And also, he had to get gas because he ran out of gas. He had to get gas just to get me home. And I was like, dude, he was like the 16-year-old kid. I was like, dude, let me pay for you. Let me pay at least some, or like, give you some money. And I think I gave him some money. I was like, "Yo, dude, let me buy you dinner or something." He's like, "No, man, I got work tomorrow." He's like a kid that works at like an auto shop or something, but he's like really young. He's like 16. Like, he's not 20 for sure. He just fucking drove me home. And then I went back to the hostel, and the people there were super nice. They were like cooking me meals, and they were making me tea. And I realized that Taiwanese people are nice. I mean, even as Canadians, people say Canadians are nice. No, Taiwanese people are freaking nice. Like, they care about the community that they live in. They're not just all about me. And that's what I want to get to today. I realized after these, what happened there was, I'm a pretty shitty individual. I'm a pretty shitty person. Like, for me, it's really a lot about me. Like, I mean, I have friends, I have family I care about, but in the end of the day, I do everything for myself. And I know most people are like that. So maybe not some people with families, but for me, definitely, it's like, I want a certain thing in this world, I want a certain position in this world, and I'm gonna go get it. And that's all I fucking care about. Really. And even after those experiences, I mean, those experiences were like a month, like 2 months ago. Thinking back on it now, even at that moment as it happened, or right after it happened, the day after it happened, I made a video talking about it right away. I feel like I'm still like that. But what I learned, especially from the second experience, is that, yes, I can prioritize my career or myself as number one if I want to. But sometimes help other people. Sometimes I can help strangers. I think if that kid didn't help me, I would probably died in the woods. Or at least it would have taken me the next morning to get back home, and with the rain and me already just recovering from being so sick, I would have been sick again. Probably had to go to the hospital again. So that kid basically saved me. Basically. And I want to thank him for that. And I think of myself, if there's another person like that in this world that needs my help, would I do the same? And right now, I'm trying to try my best every day. Like, I can't say for positive I will do that for that person, but I will try my best to do so. Because back then, it was just all about me. Now it's like, I try to have a part of it for, definitely for friends and family, and then also for strangers, people I don't know. Like, being nice to people that I don't know in unfortunate situations. I realize that I have to leave a piece of myself for that as well. I'm realizing that, like, right now. So, yeah, that's what I realized from what happened there. I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of out of it right now. It's been a while. This thing has been going on for like 30 minutes almost. So those are the experiences of when I almost almost died, really. And what I've learned from them, and hopefully from those stories you will learn something too. Anyways, guys, it's a long podcast today, but just wanted to share some stuff with you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. And yeah, Horror Studio 1, bye.